Very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 15th of June 2020. I would like to start today's discussion with this quote by Winston Churchill. A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. An optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Think about it. It's all about the way we see things, right? Not with our eyes, but with our mind, with our attitude. If you see the world that the world is positive, full of opportunities, right, then you will get something good out of it. If you think that everything is bad and everything is not worth it, then you'll get that, right? So it all depends on us. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. Now, this smart course is for Civil Services Examination. It covers both your pre and mains examination till 20th June 2020. We are offering you this EMI option as well. So please make sure that you make the most out of it, right? And to find out more about our smart course, all you have to do is download our mobile application. To download the PDF of today's lecture, do check out my Telegram channel. In fact, I have already shared today's PDF on my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Dear friends, on our table we have 6 important articles. We are going to start with these 2 articles, right? Both of them are associated with this India-Nepal issue, right? Border issue. Unfortunately, and the reason I'm using this word unfortunately is because early on as well we have talked about in detail the relationship that these 2 countries, India and Nepal, they share a very interesting, very outstanding bilateral relationship with each other. Culturally, we have this roti-beti relationship where roti is not just limited with food. It's not that our food or so many items are common in our country or countries, right? But it's more than food. It's more about way of living. It's more about, our approach to life, culturally speaking, religious connection is there. Then we have this beti, that means matrimonial relationship that we have with each other. So there are so many things, right? If we go in history as well, and Nepal is our neighboring country. Come on, means India and Nepal, good friends, best buddies. You can easily say we are best buddies, and we know this thing for sure. Means every single country on this planet, they know this thing that when you share border with any country, right, then you are going to have some sort of issues. But it is on the sensibility of these 2 countries that they have to make sure, the diplomatic world have to make sure that, or the people who are running this diplomatic world, they have to make sure that this small petty issues, they don't take a form of big disruptions or issues, right? So it is very unfortunate that Oli government, they have passed a constitutional amendment. They have passed a bill in their Lok Sabha, in Nepal's Lok Sabha, and this is basically a constitutional amendment. They have passed a new map which includes Lipulekh, Kalapani and Limpiadhura. These territories which are under India's control now, as per their latest amendment, they have displayed this items or these places under their map, and this is going to kickstart a new issue between India and Nepal. The issue is an old one. It all started it's been going on for a very long period of time. Back in 2000 as well, both nations agreed to hold talks. Back in 2014 as well, both nations agreed to hold talks, but that thing failed. But anyway, in recent past, it all started with this new political map of India, when after removing this 370 and 370, Article 370 of our Constitution and 335A, etc., we came out with this new 2 union territories, right? Jammu and Kashmir converted into 2 UTs. So one is Jammu and Kashmir and the other one is Ladakh. So at that point of time, we shared this new political map, and since then, Nepal is not happy with this border area that we share with Nepal, this Uttarakhand and Nepal's border. This latest move is like a strong signal coming from Nepal. Nepal has blamed India. Kathmandu said that Ministry of External Affairs has rejected 2 dates suggested by Nepal MOFA, that is Foreign Ministry of Nepal. So Nepal is saying that we are trying to contact India, but India is not ready to discuss this thing. Then Nepal's ambassador has said that we tried to get in touch with Foreign Secretary, but it is routinely dismissed. Our request for meeting is routinely dismissed. One interesting thing about Nepal is the timing. Right? We know it very well that at present India-China border standoff is going on. Things are not at its best between India and China when it comes to border issue. At the same time, you find one country, a government that is communist in nature, and to an extent it looks like it has got a strong support of China. So this is not a coincidence that on one side India and China border standoff is going on. At the same time, Nepal is coming out with this type of constitutional amendment. The speed with which the constitutional amendment was passed has left little space for diplomacy now. What Nepal is doing now, and I would like to take you to another important editorial. This editorial is not from the Hindu newspaper, it's from another newspaper. I think it's from Tribune. I forgot the name of the newspaper, but I have gone through multiple newspapers today, because as far as the Hindu newspaper is concerned, I found just 2 important articles. The rest of them are not that important for your examination point of view. Interesting if you just want to read it, but not important for your examination. So I have gone through some 4 or 5 newspapers this morning, and I have gone through many articles. So I found this best 6 articles for you guys. So anyway, here we find a very interesting thing that after the passage of the bill, now let me tell you that this bill has been passed by Lok Sabha, or the lower house of Nepal only. It will be tabled in upper house. So final bill passage will, I think it will sail. It will be passed by upper house as well. The reason why I'm saying this thing, give me 2 minutes, I will explain that thing as well to you. So after passage of the bill, now Oli government is saying that now they are ready to have a word with India. So after passing this bill, or after going to such an extent that you are introducing a bill and then you are passing it, your Lok Sabha is passing it, then you are telling that let's have a discussion. So you have clearly said that we are not ready to accept any new ideas. If you read between the lines, then that's what we can get from this thing, that we don't want to discuss this thing. This is the thing that we believe it is, and you have to believe it, right? Or else you are doing wrong with us. That's what I think they are trying to send. That's what they are trying to tell us. Both sides moved quickly this week to manage the fallout of border firing by Nepali police on a group of Indians that left 1 dead. When this incident took place, I don't know whether I can call it an incident or whether this was done for a purpose, but when this thing happened, both countries, they quickly, they managed to sort out this issue as quickly as possible. We need to do the same thing with this thing. And this is again not that much late. If Nepal government, if they withdraw this whole thing, but I don't think so they will withdraw this bill from the house, because the reason is not India. The reason is the government itself, government of Nepal. Government of Nepal, or Mr. Oli's performance has not been that great. I'm not sure how many of you are aware about this thing, but he has literally failed. And in Nepali constitution, they have this 2 years guarantee for Prime Minister. Right? Till 2 years, your position is safe. After that, they can go through this voting and everything. This, floor test and sort of things. So this 2 years are about to expire. As far as I know, this thing is about to expire, or it has expired. And keeping this thing in mind, because he has failed on various different fronts, what he's trying to do now is he's trying to drag people's attraction to a very hot topic. And he is using this nationalism thing. So when you are using this nationalism card, that it is about our country and it is about our desh and things like that, then of course opposition party, they know that what you are doing is wrong, but they don't have any choice. They have to support you, because if they don't support you, then they will be termed as not being patriotic or being anti-national. So he has played his card very well, that he is exploiting this territorial issue to hide his government's failures. One more interesting thing that I found in this editorial, and this is one of the most interesting thing, that on your screen you have this lady here, right? She is ambassador of China to Nepal. Her name is Hao Yankee. You won't believe, but in early 2020, in early 2020, when things were not going very well between Mr. Oli and some opposition leaders of Nepal, then Hao Yankee, ambassador of China to Nepal, she intervened. She convinced the opposition parties leaders that please do not create disturbances and support him and things like that. So Chinese have been systematically raising their profile in Nepal, and we can safely say that the reason why Mr. Oli is going two benefits. First is saving his own back, and the second thing is supporting China here, because China is deeply there, right, in the politics of Nepal. Moving on to next item, behind the curve. This one is about GST Council. 40th GST Council meeting took place, and GST Council has decided that it is going to relax late fees and interest payable for those taxpayers failing to file returns on time. The reason is coronavirus or lockdown, or coronavirus-led lockdown to be precise. For businesses with no tax liabilities under the indirect tax regime, the late fees were completely waived. Good move, helpful for small businesses particularly. Now, the second, or this one portion is over, right? This is one of the most important decisions taken by GST Council in this recently concluded 40th GST Council meeting. Okay. Now, in March, GST collection had slipped to 97,597 crore rupees. We are talking about March, and you know that the last week of March, from 25th, the country went under this lockdown thing. So before that, things were, I'm not saying they were outstanding, but they were okay. For continuously 4 months, we have, or the government has got 1 lakh crore plus in GST collection. But on March, it was 97,597 crore, and you can think about April, it's going to be very down, right? And in May as well, it's going to be the same. So we can clearly say that incoming money has dropped, outgoing money has gone up because of this COVID-19 led expenses. Now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has told state representatives in the council that just 45% of the indirect tax target has been met in the past 2 months, of course, because of this lockdown thing. Now, states are urging the central government to clear their dues, right? First of all, the states, they are urging the center to extend emergency fiscal support, give states emergency financial support. This is their first demand. The second thing is release past GST compensation dues. Now, GST compensation, let me quickly throw light on this thing. I have one question for you. Can you tell me the year in which GST was officially rolled out in our country? So I'm not going to give you the year, but the month is here. The 1st July, it was on 1st July, etc., etc. This GST rule was formally rolled out, or GST system was rolled out in our country. Okay. So under this GST rules and regulations, for 5 years, states will get this protection. They will get GST compensation. So how it works is that just let's take this example here, a very simple one. Just imagine that a state used to get 100 rupees per year from indirect tax. After the rollout of GST, it is guaranteed that this 100 rupees will be maintained, and every year 14% rise will also be there. So if a state gets, let's say, after introduction of GST 80 rupees, then this 20 rupees will be given by this GST, will be given as GST compensation. So this GST compensation due to states for December 2019 to February 2020 was only released on 4th June. So 3 months delay in this compensation, or this period's compensation. So this delay is unbearable for states at present, because they are also spending huge amount of money for treating coronavirus and doing everything to control this coronavirus thing. Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act, we have talked about this thing earlier on as well. But for new students, I'm going to be very brief here that 3% limit was allowed on fiscal deficit of your respective gross state domestic product. And this is raised till 5% now in May 2020's stimulus package. But there is a condition here that from 3% to 3.5%, 0.5% rise is unconditional, but more than that, if you want to reach a 4.5 or 4 or 5%, then for that you have to do some changes, reforms. The more reforms you add, that's how your limit will be raised. Your fiscal deficit, this FRBM, fiscal responsibility and budget management, this bar will be raised till 5% if you introduce some reforms. Now, these reforms may be long pursued ideals, but whether it is the right time for prioritizing them has been questioned. The big question is that, is it the right time for the central government to impose this type of reforms? I think yes, right? I think yes. As far as money is concerned, it should not be a problem, right? And so there should be a sort of reasonable flow of money. Even if you have to borrow it, then you have to, because you don't have any other option. But money should not be an issue. But reforms are also important. So I think we should try to achieve a good balance here between money and reforms. Center-state ties so far has been very good as far as GST Council is concerned. GST Council works, you have central government and representatives from state governments. So far, things have evolved with consensus. You have a voting option as well, but they have never used this thing, voting. As far as I know, the GST Council has never used voting. Right? Everything has been so far means consensus, the discussion, and most of them they have agreed on a few things, and that's how GST Council has worked. So we have to make sure that this whole coronavirus thing, it does not create any sort of fractures or cracks that may I would say hinder the working of GST Council, right? And of course center and state tie, or this federal structure that we have. Okay, fiscal federalism to be precise. Okay, moving on to, and one more thing, last one is that from last 2 months, they are trying to solve this problem that if there is a shortage in GST cess collection, then there should be an option, so that there should be an option to raise loans so that GST compensation is provided. So they are talking about this thing, but they have not reached any conclusion. So hopefully, let's hope that in near future they will sort out this issue as well. So if there is any shortage in GST collection and cess particularly, then it should not be a reason for state getting less money. Moving on to let data speak. Now this is very easy to understand article, right? So I'm not spending too much time after this one, but it's very important for you to understand this thing, that data is one of the most important thing. Data is basically information. Without information you cannot have knowledge, and without knowledge you cannot have wisdom. Simple as that. This reminds me of this Sherlock Holmes film, in which in one of the scene Sherlock Holmes says to the police officer that data, I cannot build bricks without clay. That means without information I cannot take any right decision. And the same thing applies with government, with institutions, right? Testing data, hospital data, data records, death records, contact tracing, sero surveys, all these important things, all this data has been collected by ICMR, central and state governments. Now it is important that you share this data with epidemiologists, health activists, mathematicians, data scientists, economists, journalists, etc. so that they will work on this data, they will go through this, they will come out with their own analysis. Various different institutions, they will come out with their own analysis, and it will help us in understanding transmission rate, asymptomatic spread, morbidity by age, gender, location, etc. Once we know how it works, if we can find some pattern, then chances are that it will help us in creating systems and protocols through which we can protect ourselves from this coronavirus. Unfortunately, we have Karnataka, we have Delhi, Tamil Nadu, Mumbai, all these various different places. They have reduced their data collection. Some of them, they have stopped testing asymptomatic persons. Some of them, they were doing 12,000 to 15,000 samples every day, but now from 5th June they have dropped this number deliberately. Tamil Nadu government earned public opprobrium following a report in this newspaper on undercounting of deaths and quickly replaced its health secretary. So this sort of things are not acceptable, right? Data is, as I told you, very important raw material. Without this raw material, we cannot build anything. Moving on to next item, it is very again unfortunate, very sad, right, that Supreme Court of India has to intervene and has to tell states as well as central government that please make sure that you pay salaries and give proper accommodation to our health workers. Health workers at present, they are our warriors, right? They are our Army, Navy, Air Force who are fighting this war against coronavirus. We are in a state of war with coronavirus. And just imagine in a war, if your soldiers are not happy, are you going to win that war? Of course not. If doctors are not able to look after their loved ones, if they are not able to run their house properly, if they are not able to buy things for themselves and for their kids and for their loved ones, then how do you think his or her performance will be at hospital? Of course, very bad, isn't it? So this is unfortunate that Supreme Court has to step in. Doctors having to strike work over non-payment of wages for 3 months, and that too in the national capital, right under the nose of Union and Delhi government. This is, of course, shameful. It is horrendous, as Supreme Court said. It is horrific and it is pathetic as well. Repeated incidents can only be seen as systemic indifference. Systemic indifference here means that who cares type of thing is going on, right? I'm sure there are a few bureaucrats, they are doing everything, but they have some hurdles. They have some seniors, or they have this system that will not allow them to release money for these doctors and their family members, or their salaries, right? The salaries that they should be given on time. In fact, you should give them something extra just to say thank you. But we are not doing that. Forget about doing extra. You're not even giving them their right to share. So big question is humanness losing out in the process of saving human lives? Is paranoia taking precedence over concerns of health safety? On the list would be an honest endeavor, no matter the constraints, to provide every citizen who tests positive the best possible care. This is a very legitimate expectation. Right? Each and every single person of our country is important. He or she has played a very important role in so many things. They have paid their taxes, right? They have planted a tree. You don't know, a poor person, he or she has planted a tree that has contributed, right? Even if it's big or small, it doesn't matter. Every single person living in this country has directly, indirectly, they have contributed something, isn't it? Generally speaking, every one of us, we have contributed something and something. So we are part of this. Everything, all these resources belongs to our country. It belongs to us because we are a country. So best possible care should be provided to each and every citizen. This is not just, it's not that we can expect. This is something that we deserve. This is a legitimate expectation. Moving on. Last one of the day. Very interesting, very important. This one is written by a minister of UAE. On your screen, you can see UAE. This is Abu Dhabi here, right? This is UAE as a nation. Oman, Saudi Arabia, Qatar is not that far. Here is Strait of Hormuz, Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman, etc. You have Abu Dhabi. Dubai is very famous in our country. Shah, famous for cricket. Ajman, Al Quaywain, Ras Al Khaimah, and then you have this Fujairah. So this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. The 7 Emirates or Emiratis, right, together they form this country called United Arab Emirates. A very interesting country, very friendly country with our country, and both governments, they have a very strong relationship with each other. Our ties are very historic. Migration, trade, and cultural interchange between our peoples go back centuries. Before introduction of Islam, we find Arabic people coming to our country in Kerala and other parts of our country, and they were doing business here, and our people doing business over there. If you go back in history as well, then we found some items when this Bharuch was known as Bari Gaza. Those items were found in Oman and other places. So This portion here has been engaged with India for a very long period of time. Okay. Of the more than 200 nationalities living there, or people from 200 countries living in UAE, one of the most important community is Indian community. Right, we have been there, and we have this shared history that predates this world's geographical boundaries. And I was talking about this whole background, isn't it, of relationship, entrepreneurship, as well as the work ethics of Indian people is well known around the world. Some big brands that Indians started, Lulu hypermarkets and Jumbo Electronics, Gems Education, Landmark Group, etc. These are some famous names in UAE. Then we have religion, food, cinema, art, education. I was talking about Sharjah, so cricket, all these things culturally important for both nation. Indian expatriates have been involved in the rapid evolution of UAE. Not just blue collar worker, but white collar professionals as well. Manual laborers as well as white collar professionals. And there is no exaggeration, as per the minister, to state that UAE would not be successful and prosperous nation it is today without the help of our country India, right? So, and let me tell you one more thing. The name of the minister, he is UAE's Minister of Human Resources and Emiratization, Nasir bin Thani Al Hamli. His name is Nasir bin Thani Al Hamli. He is minister, and he has written this article. So he's basically an official article coming from, you can say, official viewpoint of government of UAE. So like all good relationship or partnership, this is a symbiotic relationship. It's not that just Indians are contributing. UAE is providing a decent life. It is a very business friendly environment that you find over there, a tolerant society, open, welcoming and safe to live place. Do you know that last year 46 billion remittance flowed out of UAE? More than half of that flowed into countries of South Asia, and out of that half, predominantly, lion's share was India's. So you can see that people living over there, generally what happens is that normally people say that these people, they have left our country and they're living. No, don't take it that way. These people, these NRIs, right, they are sending this money back home, and this is helping our country. More than FDI, we are getting this money. So we need to respect their hard work and their love for our country. Many businesses have been forced to temporarily close, and most air routes suspended because of this lockdown. So minister is saying that in all countries, and this happens with every country, that whenever you find something very shocking, right, when economy falls or something happens, then the most affected, most vulnerable are those coming from different parts of the world. They're expatriate workers, they are the most vulnerable. So he's assuring that the country is doing everything that is possible, and health treatment is provided to every single person regardless of their legal status, occupation and nationality. Food and accommodation is also provided. The government has granted automatic extension of all visas, including residency and work permits, so that there is no issue of legal issues that they have to get, as these workers, they don't face any legal issue. Many people, they would like to go back to their country, and government is engaging with various different countries, and it is engaged with Indian government as well, and cooperation and friendship has been exceptional between these two countries. So many flights, many people came back to our country from UAE, as we all know. One thing that minister is saying that this is just a sort of a see you soon type of goodbye, right? It's not a permanent hasta la vista or permanent goodbye. It's just it's just a temporary see you soon type of, it's not drifting apart forever. It's just a small, you can say, distance that coronavirus has created, and he's expecting and he's hopeful that very soon, when everything will be under control, people from India will come back to UAE. And he is also saying, he's closing this statement or article by saying that UAE has contributed significantly in humanitarian assistance, and the country has provided some 570 tons of medical equipment, including this has been supplied to 50 nations, including South Asia, includes India. Home Minister Amit Shah said Narendra Modi government is committed to check the spread of COVID-19. He had a meeting with in national capital with Health Minister, Union Health Minister, Delhi Lieutenant Governor, Chief Minister of Delhi, and other important players were also present. Of course, guys, you can download the PDF and go through it quickly. I'm going to highlight some important points here. Dr. V.K. Paul-led committee is going to fix rates as well as lower rates and fix the rate of corona testing and treatment. Then Home Minister Amit Shah yesterday had a meeting with top functionaries of Delhi as well. So Lieutenant Governor, Chief Minister and 3 commissioners. The government has said that the viral message on social media claiming re-imposition of strict lockdown is completely false has been clarified by PIB. Recovery rate has been amazing for our country, 50% plus. And we have developed this new Bharat Benz as well as Department of Biotechnology. They have developed this India's first infectious disease diagnostic lab. It is ready to use, ready to deliver now, and BSL 2 facility is with on-site ELISA as well as RT-PCR. Moving on to Defense Minister has said that India and China are working together to sort out issues between each other, this border issue, basically LSC type of issue, and Jammu and Kashmir has seen as many as 2027 ceasefire violation from the starting of this year till 10th June 2020. Today is World Blood Donor Day, and the theme this year is Save Blood, Save Lives. And last thing, it is very unfortunate that this actor, Sushant Singh Rajput, he passed away yesterday. He was a young guy, right? And I'm sure we have. I thoroughly enjoyed his work in Chichore as well as PK. Anyway, he's not here anymore, and I would like to share this small message. I would like to tell you guys that most of you are preparing for competitive exams, various different competitive exams. So some of you would be aspiring to become an IAS officer, some of you want to become bank manager or bank officer, some of you want to become army officer, whatever it is, right? Just remember that this big box is your life and this small box is your career and your goals and your exams and whatever it is. Even if it is your love life, even if it is your issues going on in your family, even if it is going with your financial life or whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, this is just a small part, just a bad time of your life, and that's it. If you don't qualify for any exam, then don't think that everything is over. Always remember that you fail at something because something else is waiting for you. A big thing is waiting for you. A thing that you don't know. You know only about IAS, right? You know only about bank officer job. You know only about this or that. But life is more mature than you. Life has been here and it will be here. So life wants you to become a big business person, businessman or businesswoman. Life wants you to become a good singer or maybe anything else, right? I'm not saying I'm not limiting things here. I'm just telling you that if you fail at something, right, emotionally or financially or whatever it is, always remember that this is just a small thing in your life. After 5 years, you'd be laughing at that thing that, oh, I was taking IAS or this or that thing as my whole world, but it is not my whole world. I have the whole world because I have this life here, beautiful life. So please, this is a message from Sushant Singh Rajput's this decision means is not here anymore. So I'm not saying anything negative about him, of course. Right, God bless his soul. But what I'm saying is that please don't do anything that your family members, your loved ones will regret. And it's our responsibility. If we find someone upset, anyone, our friends, our loved ones, our family members, anyone, then it is our responsibility that we need to talk with them. We need to tell them. And not just tell them, they should feel that they are there for us. If anything goes wrong with them, then we are there. Protect them. We are their safety net. Think about it. God bless you all. Jai Hind.